Hi everyone, I'm Dean. I am 2 years sober from alcohol and drugs. I'm from Canton, Ohio. My parents were active drinkers and drug users, and so we kind of had to fend for ourselves and kind of take care of ourselves. The neighborhood took care of us. The neighbors, we stayed with them a lot. CPS had taken us I think two times, and then that was about 5 years old. And then my mother left my father because he went on a weekend bender, and which at the time was a very traumatic experience, and it's something that I'm still dealing with. But I look at it now as a blessing, because about a month after that, my family, my dad came and got me, and I ended up being raised with him and my grandmother around a great community of support and love. Now, in this journey of recovery, I've learned that trauma is something that I have to get healing from, and it took a while to have enough courage to do so. But I know that if I wouldn't have went with my grandmother at 5 years old, then who knows where I'd be today. The first time that I drank alcohol, that was the main time in my mind. I was 11 years old, and my dad was a drinker, so I remember actually going home and getting my buddy and telling him I was going to go drink some beer. And I ended up drinking, but what I know now is that I drank and it didn't turn off. So as soon as I had that one at 11 years old, I ended up drinking until oblivion, and got sick. But I remember that it gave me that ease and comfort and got me out of myself, got me out of that anxiety, got me out of that state of fear that I always was in. And you know, whenever I had alcohol in my system, that time I always reflected back to, because I always chased that same feeling. So I remember it was a couple years before I got sober. I was at the bar, and I remember I didn't have a ride home, and I decided to walk home, and it was probably about 3 to 5 miles, and it was in the heart of winter. And my mind said that we can make it. And I remember, I can laugh now because I was falling all the way home, stumbling drunk. I don't know how I didn't get arrested. But it was also a frame of reference, because anytime that I think I can't do anything in recovery, I remember what I had to do and what I did when I was drinking and using. So it's funny, but it's still sad. And I still have an injury because of that. I was married for 10 years, and I didn't understand my addiction. So I just, my ex-wife thought that I couldn't give it up, and I was choosing it over her. And it led to ultimately our divorce. And then as we got divorced, I'm a father of 2 daughters, and thank God they're still in my life. However, I had to take breaks for them to go to treatment. So I put them in a lot of painful situations, because and they thought that I was choosing alcohol and drugs over them. It was actually Thanksgiving of 2018. I couldn't get my kids because of drug use, and then it was that Christmas Eve of 2018 that I first went to treatment. Because my life flashed before my eyes on my last drink and use, I was so afraid to drink and use again that I was willing to take the suggestions that people told me, which was to call people, to talk about how I was feeling. And once I did that, I realized that it actually worked, and I could get that out. And then what I did is I seek counseling, as well as 12-step groups. So my first career, I was a teacher, and like I told you before, is I blamed that stress for my drinking and drug use. And then after I resigned, and I realized that it was not the career, it was me. And now I work for the Phoenix House that I went through, and so now I get to use the skills that I had from teaching, but to help people in recovery. And I cannot see myself anytime working in a different field. I'm peer support certified, and I'd like to get my master's in mental health and addiction counseling. It helped me look at myself and find the deep-rooted trauma and wounds that I have, that I need to have healing from, and to work on And then it also showed the ones around me, my kids being the main focus of what it's like to not be okay. It's okay not to be okay, and how to voice that and talk about that and where to go to get help. And they can see I think they can see the transparency of that. I'm really focusing on trying to be the version that I used to be. The most amazing part in the last 2 years is finding out who I am. And that's not a good thing at first. At first you're like, man, I believe this since I was a young person. But now it's kind of amazing, because even though as long as I can get past that victim state, then I can actually say, wow, I've been living this whole survival life. But if I can now do the work, then I can become the person who I'm supposed to be. And it's really amazing how I see the world different. I see the world, I think God's given me the eyes to see kind of like He sees. And it's really awesome, because I don't focus on the things that don't matter. I focus on the things that matter, which are struggling people. And as long as I can remember and not focus on the negative side of addiction, right? Because it can really overwhelm us, and that vicarious trauma that we can get through others can really put a damper on us and burn us out. But the vision that I have for people now, as long as I stay out of my way, as long as I can not get into self. And that's another thing that I really like, is to identify, man, I'm in myself today. I can really feel that, because I'm not caring about others. Right now it may feel hopeless, but there is a glimmer of hope. If you can have that glimmer of hope and you can surrender to the process, it does get better. It may not feel like it, and you may feel like you're going backwards at times. But if you can get through those times and know that there are people here to help you, then you'll make it, and you'll come out on the other side and be able to reach your hand out and help someone else.
Dean, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today and share some inspiration and hope for those who need it most. Your story will help to spread awareness, humanize addiction, end stigma, and inspire hope, one story at a time.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much.